This is one of the most comfortable integrated bracelets I've tried on in a while, and to integrate the buckle in the bracelet is something I think should be standard. Hello and welcome to Swiss Watch Gang. I created this channel to film, hunt down and show you watches which have that special extra something. Many of you ask for my advice when it comes to buying watches made by independent watchmakers or independent brands. I really like the people behind Chronoswiss. I like what they stand for, how they operate, and especially what they came out with this year. They always surprise me either with wild colors, guilloche patterns, or like recently, launching completely new collections. Today we'll talk about two of them, the Pulse 1 as well as the small second models. I spent a lot of time with all of them, but we'll take a closer look especially at the Pulse 1 Sand as well as the small second Blue Orbit. What also surprised me was the pricing of these new models, but we'll touch point on that a bit later. So Chronoswiss is an independently owned brand from Lucerne, Switzerland. At the helm we have Oliver Epstein, a man of many interests and someone who does not shy away from trying new things. And these new collections prove that fact. The market for integrated bracelet watches is very competitive. On the one hand there's competition from the established big brands, and on the other hand there's the competition and constant flow of emerging micro brands. Bracelets are a difficult element of a watch to master, and that's where the Pulse 1 from Chronoswiss positively surprised me. A bold move which I think will pay off in the long run. It's hard to pick between the two models. On the one hand, I love the color of the Sand model because it's not seen that often, but on the other hand, the blue is very striking and a color which I think is a staple when it comes to integrated bracelet watches. Although it's a new era for Chronoswiss, they still kept a few recognizable elements just enough. They have kept the regulator style dial construction, which they have used throughout all the years and collections so far. The hours are displayed at 12 o'clock, there's a long central minute hand, and the seconds are displayed at 6 o'clock in the form of a retrograde 30-second counter. The base color of the Sand model is achieved with sandblasted galvanic 4N and a printed black second track. There's the logo written out at 9 o'clock and the number of your watch at 3 o'clock. The Pulse 1 models are limited to 100 pieces each, and the comments online I've seen so far with these models are very good. I especially like the 30-second animation of the CVD coated second hand. It's kind of addicting and just enough movement to make it fun. I found myself staring at that hand every time it came close to 30, just to see it jump over and over again. I love the colors on the dial, from the sand base, CVD coated blue indexes, hands and numerals, and the grey sand blasted parts. On paper it would sound like too many colors, but in reality it works really well. The hour markers are all polished, CVD coated and then applied. They are raised to a level, and again, details like this make the watch more premium. From filming them, they looked very well executed as well. There are small rectangular applied pieces as well between the 5-minute increments. Those feature two facets are polished and CVD blue coated as well, to fit the other elements. Creating a new collection is not easy, especially if you want to keep the core DNA of the brand intact. So Chronoswiss kept it with using a regulator style dial. They also kept the onion crown, and if you saw my other videos or if you're familiar with the brand, the case features a subtle version of the knurling, something other Chronoswiss cases are known for. The watch features a solid 26-piece titanium grade 5 case with a satin finished and sandblasted surfaces, complemented by a partly polished bezel with again partial knurling, a curved double-coated anti-reflective sapphire crystal, a screw-down case back with satin finish and sapphire crystals on both sides. The watch feels light and comfortable on the wrist due to the titanium, but also the bracelet design and construction. Creating an integrated bracelet is very hard, and not repeating a design is even harder. There's no watch that comes to mind which uses a similar bracelet design. If you think of one, please comment down below. The links are brushed and there's some mid parts which are polished. What I especially like is that they hit the butterfly clasp in the bracelet itself, something I think more bracelets should feature. Basically, in my opinion, this should be the default solution for everybody. They spared no expense with the movement as well. Both the Pulse 1 as well as the small second model, which we'll take a close look after, feature an in-house design movement created by La Jouperet to Chronoswiss specifications and desires. It's a good looking movement with Geneva stripes decoration, ruthenium plating, polished screws, and a scrutinized winding rotor made out of tungsten, used because of its advantageous characteristics like weight, hardness, corrosion, and heat resistance, and obviously many more. The movement is very clean, well executed, and nice to look at. On the wrist, the watch feels very comfortable, having a diameter of 41mm, height of 12.75mm, and a lug-to-lug of only 46.27mm. In my opinion, it tapers down very nicely because of the short links. Both models which came out now are limited to 100 pieces only, and the price is 11,800 Swiss francs including the Swiss VAT. The case, dial and movement, including the brand history and strength, make this model a very strong value proposition. If you want to buy something more classic and not on an integrated bracelet, the small second collection, which is also new, is something to look at. Chronoswiss is introducing two models with this new launch, the Blue Orbit as well as the Desert. Modern mechanical is something the brand strives for, so they're blending the worlds of modern watchmaking using new technologies and materials with mechanical, more traditional techniques. The new small second collection is a perfect example of that practice. The Blue Orbit features an in-house rose engine lathe-turned guilloche dial, whereas the Desert model features a modern laser and nano printed dial. I haven't seen a traditional time indication since a while now. In my opinion, one of the coolest watches with traditional time indication from Chronoswiss are the legendary skeleton chronograph Opus watches. Because it's not a regulator dial, the watch is slimmer. I'd say the slimmest Chronoswiss has ever done so far, measuring only 11.5mm in height. The dial is easy to read due to a traditional hour and minute hand, and it still keeps the typical elements of Chronoswiss, like the onion-style crown, featuring a sandblasted middle section, which I think improves the grip a bit, delicate knurling on the periphery of the bezel, as well as the screwed-in spring bars. The dial of the Desert model is created by using lasers, as well as nano printing, using 10 layers to achieve this desert-like surface. To add a nod to traditional watchmaking, the small second sub-dial at 9 o'clock features a guilloche pattern, obviously made in-house. The hands are blued and feature superluminova. The indexes are polished, blue CVD coated, and applied on the dial. The Blue Orbit is extremely striking. Depends on the angle and the light, the blue color shines differently. It can go from light blue to dark blue, and the guilloche plays a huge role in that. If you're a fan of guilloche dials, then Chronoswiss is your brand. They have at least two old and restored rose engine lathes in their atelier in Lucerne, used by the master himself, Mike Panzera, head of design development and their guilloche expert. For the Blue Orbit, they chose a classic pattern which plays well with the overall message of the watch. But this collection is a great canvas for future ideas. The model features, like we said, a traditional hour-minute hand, brushed on top and superluminova in the between. To add some movement on the dial, the blued small second hand is placed at 9 o'clock, hovering over a silver azurage finished sub-dial. At 12 o'clock you have the Chronoswiss logo, and at 6 o'clock a little inscription reading Swiss made. I like the lack of text on the dial here, makes for a very clean look. My favorite element of the watch are the numerals. The font is beautiful and well executed. The design of the font isn't new to Chronoswiss. Mike Panzera drew inspiration from their old quarter repeater watches from the past, but instead of painting or printing them on the dial, here they are cut, mirror polished and applied beautifully. As I said before in the video, the base movement is the same as on the Pulse 1, a high quality execution with dark ruthenium plating, 4Hz and 55 hours of power reserve. There are a few inscriptions on the movement like Chronoswiss Atelier Lucerne, and the design is very modern. This model also features an automatic winding rotor made out of tungsten and engraved with the Chronoswiss name on it. On the wrist, the models fit elegantly, measuring 40mm in diameter, 11.5mm in height and a lug-to-lug of 50mm. Hard to say which one to choose because they're both cool, but I think my heart would go with the traditional guilloche model. Today many watch brands price their watches too high, but I think Chronoswiss nailed the pricing on these two new collections so far. The Desert model costs 7,900 Swiss francs, whereas the Blue Orbit comes in at 8,400 Swiss francs, a bit of extra because of the in-house made guilloche dial. Obviously all of this including VAT. Let me know which model you prefer, the Pulse 1 or the Small Second. I'm curious to see the answers in the comment section below. If you want to learn more about the brand or these watches, I'll put the links in the description below, so go check them out and give them a follow. Let me also know which watches you want me to review in the future, especially from the new releases that just came out. Thank you for watching guys, and as always, I'll see you soon.